Welcome back, everybody. I'm Steve McCurdy. This is November 8th, day 8 of our many days of Steve Stories. Today's story is entitled The 3-Hour Lunch. Now, I work a lot with AI and putting some of these things together, and believe it or not, that was the title that ended up being, you know, kind of the best one. The notion is that when time disappears, um, well, trust is often being built. Sometimes you sit down for what was supposed to be a 45-minute lunch, and then 3 hours later, you're still talking, not because you have to, but because neither of you actually wants to leave. There's just no rush, no pitch. There's no clock watching, just two human beings, unguarded, discovering who the other one really is. It's not really networking as such. That's trust forming in real time. What actually moves in those 3 hours, though, is not just money, not contracts, not next steps. What moves, I believe, is trust. What softens is defense. What forms is a sense of belonging. And what reveals itself a lot of times is character. And not the resume version of character, the list of things you did and want credit for. I mean, who you are when you're not performing, who you are in all circumstances. Because in today's over-skeptical, angry, divided climate, we're constantly asked to believe what people say, even when their behavior may be telling a completely different story. Words can be rehearsed, opinions can be faked, but character tends to leak, and people feel it. As public trust erodes everywhere, the only people who will earn unguarded agreement are those whose actions match their claims repeatedly, without audience or applause. A transaction can be made with a stranger, but a commitment can usually only be made with someone who is dependable and has a dependable character. Why the 3-hour lunch matters? Well, when time feels fast, it's because nervous systems feel safe. There's not a lot of pitching going on, no posturing, no trying to close, just shared reality, shared values, shared oxygen. That's where the real deals tend to get made, not on paper, but in the body of the person who says, I don't just understand what you do. I feel like I trust who you are. Transactions move money. Relationships move people. And people who are moved don't need persuading. They don't need a place to belong. The equation at work here is most marketing is still know and do. You know what they do and you know what their offer is and you do it. That's transactional. Give information, push action. That gets a sale, but it doesn't build a relationship. The real sequence to lasting relationships and change is know, then think, then feel, and then do. The 3-hour lunch lives in that feel space where logic has already been satisfied, but trust is still deciding whether it's safe to say yes. When feel is missing, people buy with suspicion. When feel is present, people buy with confidence. That's the difference between being sold and being aligned. Reflection. Here's some questions for us to think about. Who in your world has earned 3 unrushed hours of your time in your life? More importantly, who would give you 3 hours back? That's who trusts you. And that's why the clock disappears when the relationship is real. Now, tomorrow is day 9, and the title is Conviction Doesn't Grow, It Arrives. And when it lands, it doesn't knock. We'll unpack what the mysteries are around that tomorrow. But for today, thank you for joining Steve on Story, and we will see you next time.